That's right. Shall I pass the money and get the drugs now? How do I work this? Hi, my name's John DeLorean. Yeah. Want to buy a used car? Can you just jack me up just to hear my own sound if you could, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's better. That's got it. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Okay. I'll just give you a thumbs up or thumbs down or whatever. Yeah. Okay. A hopeful sign. Not yet. With the big money involved in college and professional athletics, the true meaning of sports can easily be distorted. Unfortunately, it often takes a tragedy like this week's tremendous earthquake in California to put our games back in perspective. Baseball Commissioner Fay Vincent, and while our thoughts are directed elsewhere, the game simply goes on as PIA Radio Sports presents the Sears College Football Game of the Week. Sears College Football Saturday is brought to you by Sears, where you get your money's worth and a whole lot more. This is the PIA Radio Network. Fine, yeah. Hello again, everybody. This is Don Chevrier welcoming you to another edition of Sears College Football Saturday this afternoon. From Iowa City, we have a real Big Ten showdown for you. The Iowa Hawkeyes, fresh from a very important win at Wisconsin last week, play host to the Michigan Wolverines, the team on the inside track to the Rose Bowl. Last season, these two teams played to a 17-all tie in Iowa City. The Wolverines coach, Bo Schembechler, admits Kinnick Stadium has not been a friendly place to play in for his team. When you think of Michigan, tough, hard-nosed running football comes to mind. But Iowa's coach Hayden Fry says that may be changing. And for more on this classic Big Ten matchup, let us join the men who are standing by to bring you all the action today. Joe McConnell and Conrad Dobler. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Well, always a good matchup. We'll get back to you shortly, Joe, to pick up all the action from Iowa City. But coming up next, more problems of the University of Florida. This is Sears College Football Saturday.
Food safety practices can stop those bacteria from going to work on you. Here are some things to remember. Keep hot foods hot. Keep cold foods cold. Keep all utensils, including your hands, clean.
I'm going to try to update that before you come back because I do the scores to film.
Okay, I got a bunch of other tapes to get through first. And then a commercial. So, yeah, we got a fair chunk before the score segment, yeah.
Right. Here's your top 10. I got 4 cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's listen to USC head coach Larry Smith. That game starts at 3:30 Eastern.
Right.
Here's, if there's no score, there's a time. Kansas, Colorado. That game starts at 3:30 Eastern. Nebraska, Oklahoma, 3:30 Eastern. That game's in progress. Down here, let's check with Scott Burnett because that's an in-progress report. Up here is Illinois, Michigan State tied at 7:3. Let's get the call to tie the game up for MSU. Thanks to Dick Martin of the Illini Sports.
Tag it for that, yeah.
Right, and then let's listen to Kentucky head coach Jerry Claiborne because I don't know what the cuts are.
Preview of tonight's game, I guess.
Right,
Yeah.
yes. There's some in-progress scores. These games are just underway right here, these 3. So you might want to say, you want me to pencil in 0-0?
Might as well, yeah, to show the right away, sure.
I'm going to get some Ivy League. We got
Okay,
we got time to film.
Okay. Can you hear me in there now? Can you boost me a little bit again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that'll be okay. Yeah, yeah. It does. Yeah, it drops off. Yeah, yeah. Welcome back to Sears College Football Saturday. Last week, some of you heard Gainesville Sun reporter Bill King chronicle the problems of the University of Florida involving both their football and basketball programs. As you know, Galen Hall resigned 2 weeks ago amid allegations he made unauthorized payments to a player and assistant coaches. Well, the problems continued for Gator fans. On Monday, they lost not one but two quarterbacks, starter Kyle Morris and his backup Shane Matthews, because they bet on college and professional football games. Two other players, both walk-ons, were declared ineligible for unspecified NCAA rules violations. Morris and Matthews did not bet on Florida games, and the wagers ranged from $25 to $100, the Florida statement said. Interim Florida coach Gary Darnell knows the amount bet is not important. Reaction to the betting in Florida was widespread. LSU coach Mike Archer says he's always on the lookout for gambling activities at LSU. Ironically, the state of Kentucky started their new lottery this week, a lottery in which residents can bet on college games. And that didn't sit well with University of Kentucky coach Jerry Claiborne. And the news just doesn't get much better. Tennessee, the Nashville Tennessean, reported and identified sources as saying the University of Tennessee spent $10,000 last spring to send running back Reggie Cobb in a 6-week drug rehab program. Cobb was permanently suspended last week for reportedly failing a 4th drug test. Last weekend, injuries hit the Big 8 conference hard, and they may have a dramatic effect on the outcome of the conference race. Colorado running back Eric Bieniemy suffered a fractured right fibula in his win against Iowa State, which means he won't play, of course, against Kansas today, but does hope to return for a showdown battle next weekend with Oklahoma, which many of you will be able to hear on Sears College Football Saturday. In Dallas, Oklahoma lost the Big 8's leading rusher Mike Gaddis last week in their loss to Texas. Here's how it happened with our own Joe McConnell on the call. Oklahoma officials say Gaddis is still in the hospital after damaging ligaments in the left knee. He will likely be out for the season. And talking about tough times, you noticed Michigan State's schedule this year? Their record stands at 2-3, but their 3 losses have been to Notre Dame, Miami of Florida, and Michigan, all teams in the top 5 in the nation. Coach George Perlis, why did you do that to your team? And finally, for the wacky play of the week, we go to the NAIA contest between Pacific of Oregon and Linfield College. It seems Pacific linebacker Joe Smeltzer could not wait to get into the game. Here's what I mean. Pacific coach Bill Griffin also thought it could be dangerous, and he suspended Schmelzer for the rest of the season. Coach Griffin said Schmelzer told him he didn't do it on purpose, but did it nonetheless. Up next, scores from around the country on the PIA Radio Network.
There's some Ivy Leagues.
The bottom, okay. Yeah.
You might want to milk it and then read some of these red things.
Yeah. Okay. All 4 reports are set to go?
Yeah.
Inserts at least?
Yes.
Where's the other one? 1, 2, 3. Oh, down in here, huh?
Right.
Move it up a little bit. Okay.
Sure. You might want to note here, point spread on that was 57. And SMU has 74 freshmen on its 91-man roster.
Wow.
Do you have anything for us to use during our halftime as far as cards?
John told me we're a minute short, so we got to make up 1 more minute.
Okay, Phil.
So-
Okay, well.
So I think you're going to want to read every one of them red lines.
Oh, yeah, okay. Welcome back to Sears College Football Saturday. Don Chevrier with you from Chicago. We're about 15 minutes away from the start of this afternoon's Big Ten matchup between Iowa and Michigan. Let us check the scores and activities from around the college football world this afternoon. Of course, Kansas has got a tough role. They're playing red-hot Colorado. The Buffaloes looking for their best start since 1937. If they win this, they'll go 7-0. They were 8-0 back in 1937, but Eric Bieniemy, their big running back, of course, a broken bone in his leg, will miss action today. But against Kansas 2-4, Buffaloes ranked 3rd nationally, have got a good shot to take it all. Well, Southern Cal and Notre Dame, their matchups are always fascinating. The Irish have won the last 6 between the 2 schools. They're playing today in South Bend. And let us listen in to USC head coach Larry Smith. Of course, Notre Dame 6-0, ranked number 1 nationally. Southern Cal, the 9th ranked team, 5-1. They bounced back with 5 straight wins, having taken a loss to Illinois in their opening game. Nebraska has gone ahead of Oklahoma State 3-0. The Cornhuskers looking for their 100th victory of the decade. Nebraska leads this series 26-2-1, favored to go on and be 7-0 at the end of the day. Tennessee and Alabama on the field, and Alabama is thrashing Tennessee 33-14. That's in the 3rd quarter. Reggie Cobb, of course, not with the Volunteers. He's been suspended. The Tide has won the last 3 meetings. The winner of this game will certainly control the race for the Sugar Bowl bid. Now, Texas and Arkansas. Let's check on that game with Scott Burnett. Longhorns, by the way, haven't lost in Arkansas since 1981. Auburn plays Florida State a little later, as does Clemson and North Carolina State. Illinois and Michigan on the field now. They are tied at 7 apiece. Let's get the call that tied this game up for MSU. So 7-7 there, and our thanks to Dick Martin of the Illini Sports Network. Arizona takes on Washington State a little later on. SMU up against Houston. If you talk about a point spread, 57 points. That is the amount that Houston is favored by against SMU, just back from 2 years of the death penalty. Cincinnati and West Virginia, 34-3. The Mountaineers lead Cincinnati. That game is in the third quarter. Texas Christian ahead of the Air Force, 13-3 in the third. D. Dallas has passed for over 300 yards last week. Expected to do the same, but so far shut down today by Texas Christian. Florida leads New Mexico 14-0. The score in the second quarter of that game. Texas El Paso plays BYU a little later. Baylor has gone ahead of Texas A&M. Strange score, 5-0 second quarter. South Carolina leads West Carolina in the third, just by 7-0. That's a surprise. The score is that low. It is Oklahoma leading Iowa State 12-7. They are in the first. Idle teams today in the top 20. Number 2 ranked Miami not playing, nor is Pittsburgh number 8 or Penn State number 17. LSU will be on the field with Kentucky later. Let's listen in again to Kentucky's head coach Jerry Claiborne. Well, in the Midwest, early action is Indiana ahead of Minnesota 7-0 in the second quarter. Also in the second, Ohio State leads Purdue 14-0. Northwestern and Wisconsin in the second are tied at 7. Syracuse third quarter leading Rutgers 28-14. Georgia Tech up on North Carolina in the third 10-0. Duke leads Maryland 25-10 also in quarter 3. Georgia 14, Vanderbilt nothing second quarter. There is no score in the first between Virginia 5-2 and Wake Forest, winners of just one game this season. Hawaii and Colorado State just underway, no score. Same story for Rice, Texas Tech, Louisville against Tulsa, Missouri, and Kansas State. We'll go to the Ivy League briefly, where Brown leads Cornell 21-7. Yale ahead of Columbia 16-0, and Dartmouth and Harvard tied at 3 early in that game. We'll wrap it up next from the studio. This is the Sears College Football Saturday program. How much more do you need here in the next segment?
We'll have about 2.5 total.
Will we?
Yeah.
Total.
Okay. You might want to just circle some scores here.
Yeah.
Did you go to Ivy League yet?
I started to, yeah.
Do you want to go to Ivy League and then maybe some updated scores?
Yeah, do we have some updated ones?
Yeah. Well, here, let's just circle some of these. Baylor, here, it's at half now. Oklahoma.
Run through some of these.
It's not the half.
It's got that, yeah, halftime.
You get that one. Circle Hawaii, Colorado State.
Yeah, 10 seconds, Tim.
Don Chevrier back with you from Chicago with an update of the Sears College Football Scoreboard. They're at halftime now. Georgia scoring 2 second-quarter touchdowns, leading Vanderbilt 14-7. Also in quarter 2, Iowa State leads Oklahoma. Boy, the Sooners having a tough year, aren't they? It's 2018 Iowa State in the second quarter of that game. Halftime, Baylor up on Texas A&M 8-0. In the second quarter, Indiana State leads Illinois State 7-0. As we move to the Northwestern game, Northwestern has gone ahead of Wisconsin at halftime, 17-14. Syracuse piling it on Rutgers. They're in the fourth quarter now. The Orangemen leading Rutgers 42-20. In the third quarter, about midway through, Florida leads New Mexico 21-0. Second quarter, Nebraska having a tough battle with Oklahoma State. About 11 minutes to go in period 2, and the Cornhuskers lead Oklahoma State by a score of 10-6. Ohio State, no problem so far with Purdue's Boilermakers. It is 21-0 for Ohio State. That game is in the third quarter. In the fourth, North Carolina leads Georgia Tech 14-10. About 6.5 minutes remaining in regulation time and final time there. It is Hawaii ahead of Colorado State in the second quarter by 10-7. Indiana, as we told you, up on Minnesota at halftime by 14-7. Of course, the game we are anxiously awaiting is coming up very shortly here. It will involve Michigan and Iowa from Iowa City. And Southern Cal Notre Dame also starting. We'll keep you informed on that game as number 1 Notre Dame meets number 9 Southern Cal. The Irish looking for their 7th consecutive win between those two schools. Colorado also bears watching, playing Kansas. Those games all kicking off in just minutes from now at 3:30 Eastern Time. Again, early on, Michigan State and Illinois are tied 7-all. That game's in the third quarter now. The Illini ranked 13th nationally. And Houston, no contest with SMU. They'll be underway a little later, favored by 57 points. But Alabama has surprised Tennessee. Volunteers' perfect season about to go up in flames. They came in 5-0, ranked 6th nationally. But now in the third quarter, the Crimson Tide rolling past the Volunteers by a score of 33-14. And briefly in the Ivy League once again, it is Maine over Connecticut 16-0. That game is in quarter number 3. Well, that'll do it for our first edition of Sears College Football Saturday. Joe McConnell and Ted Albrecht up next to bring you all the action of this afternoon's game between Iowa and Michigan. We'll keep you up to date on all the scores back here at the Sears Sports Center. But for now, Don Chevrier saying so long. Enjoy the first half. We'll talk to you at halftime on the PIA Radio Network. Pick up that Dover thing in the script. They should have. But I'm so used to seeing it, you know. We all. Oh, Joe corrected. I didn't introduce him anyway.
We're going to burn you once a day.
The cinch of the day, right?
Yeah.
Sears cinch of the day, yeah. Quickies on all breaks, and then 30 is the third break again, right?
At least for now, until we get into the overlap area.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
They won't kick off till 22 probably, huh?
Right about then, yeah.
TV.
22 or something.
Well, Dad, I'm ready to play the USA Today expert game and win this week's $5,000 prize. All I gotta do now is read every paper in the USA.
1 minute till stadium.
All the scores and stories are USA Today.